First up on the list is a stunt pulled by Marlon Brando that is just as topical today as it was back in the early 1970s, 1973 to be exact. While Marlon Brando isn't the first person to decline their Oscar for various reasons, his snubbing of the ceremony following his iconic role in The Godfather was certainly one of the most memorable. Brando was considered a shoo-in for the winner of Best Actor, and he had already taken home the Best Actor statue once before for his role in the 1955 movie On the Waterfront. However, despite what many would consider this to be a huge honor for the actor, he decided to not even attend the ceremony. Instead, he sent Native American actor and activist Saheen Littlefeather on stage to decline the award on his behalf. He did it in protest of the way that Native Americans have been treated in the United States. The 1973 awards were the first time that the show had been broadcast internationally, and over 85 million people watched Littlefeather's passionate speech, which came just a month into the standoff between Native American activists and the cops after police killed a Lakota man at the Wounded Knee Reserve in South Dakota.
And at number 9, Hondo. In 1954, the movie Hondo was nominated for Best Story, which has now been renamed to Best Original Screenplay. The John Wayne Western movie was favored to win, but the nomination was later revoked after the Academy discovered the script for the movie was not original. Rather, it was based on an already existing short story called The Gift of Cochus. This is obviously against the rules, as the nominees in this category must create an original story.
Next up on the list is the 1974 Academy Awards ceremony, when an English teacher named Robert Opal stripped down and ran on stage while Elizabeth Taylor was being introduced for an award. So Robert ran on stage completely naked and sprinted around for a bit. After the stunt had occurred, the host at the time quipped, quote, "Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was almost bound to happen." But isn't it fascinating to think that probably the only laugh that man will ever get in his life is by stripping off and showing his shortcomings? Luckily for Opal, he was able to evade arrest, probably because everyone thought the stunt was hilarious. Instead, he was invited backstage to explain himself. Turns out the streaking was part of Opal's commentary on the way society has become too conformist. Opal, who owned a Los Angeles gallery known for showcasing homoerotic art, also streaked at the Los Angeles City Council meeting.
And at number 7, Will Smith. As of now, Will Smith has not been stripped of his Oscar officially after he received it just a few nights ago, but considering his disrespectful conduct, many are thinking the Academy will punish him for the action. After slapping Chris Rock and interrupting the broadcast, Will Smith won Actor of the Year for his performance in King Richard. While giving his acceptance speech, he took the time to apologize to the Academy and his fellow nominees while crying. He blamed his actions on the love he has for his wife, Jada. Since he still won the award and was treated like nothing happened following the slap, many people thought nothing would happen. But after 2017, the Oscars introduced a new code of conduct in the context of the Me Too movement. In a letter sent to members at the time, CEO Don Hudson stated, quote, "Academy membership is a privilege offered to only a select few within the global community of filmmakers." Adding, quote, "There is no place in the Academy for people who misuse their status, power, or influence in a manner that violates recognized standards of decency." And if you really think about what Will Smith did that night, it was using his privilege to do something that would have gotten any other person arrested. After the slap, the Academy posted a statement that they condemn all violence and announced that they launched a formal investigation into the incident. It's been rumored that his Oscar will not be taken away, but he may be suspended from the Academy.
Next on the list is the Oscars that took place in the year 2000. After winning Best Supporting Actress for her role in Girl Interrupted, Angelina Jolie and her brother James Haven shocked the crowd super uncomfortably when they locked lips at the Vanity Fair after-party. During her acceptance speech for the role, Jolie shouted out her brother with the equally uncomfortable line, quote, "I'm in shock and I'm so in love with my brother right now. He just held me and said he loved me, and I know he's so happy for me, and thank you for that." The kiss immediately sparked headlines, which Jolie called pathetic. She later said that the siblings had been visiting their mother, who had cancer, in the hospital that day, and the kiss and declaration of love had just been part of her reaction to the day's emotional ups and downs.
Halfway at number 5, Young Americans. The film Young Americans won the Academy Award for Best Documentary in 1969, and everyone involved in the film was thrilled. But a month after receiving the award, it was stripped away for violating the Oscars' terms. So the movie was actually made in 1967, and it was first shown in theaters in October of 1967, not making it eligible for the 1969 Oscars, where it won. After the award was taken away, it was given to the runner-up called Journey into Self. As of now, Young Americans is the only movie in Academy history to receive an Oscar, then have it taken away after the ceremony.
Next up is the 2015 Oscars, when John Travolta hopped onto the Oscar stage to introduce Idina Menzel, who voiced Princess Elsa in the Disney Frozen movie. People were obsessed with Frozen during this time, and it instantly became a classic in the Disney canon. The Frozen song Let It Go had been nominated for Best Original Song, which meant that Idina would be performing the song for the ceremony. When John Travolta was set to introduce her, he inexplicably said, quote, "The wickedly talented, one and only Adele Dazeem." Travolta later said that seconds before he was set to go on stage, he ran into Goldie Hawn and missed the announcement that the producers had changed the spelling of Menzel's name on the teleprompter to a phonetic version that was supposed to be easier to pronounce. Luckily, Menzel was a pretty good sport about the whole thing. She reunited with Travolta at the next year's ceremony.
In at number 3, The Circus. At the very first ever Academy Awards in 1929, the award show decided to revoke Charlie Chaplin's awards to make the night more fair for everyone. At that year's awards, he was nominated for Best Actor, Best Director for a Comedy, Best Writer, and Outstanding Picture for his work in the film The Circus. Since he was such a legendary talent, the Academy believed there was a high chance that he might win all the awards, so they decided to create an honorary award just for him, combining all of his awards into one. This new award combined the awards for Best Writing, Directing, and Producing in the film.
Next on the list is the 2020 Oscars, where the much-deserving film Parasite had just been announced as the Best Picture of the year. It marked the first time that a non-English language film took home the top honor. When the cast and crew headed on stage to accept the award, which was one of the 6 the movie won through the night, co-producer Kok Sin-ae first took the mic and spoke for 45 seconds before turning things over to Mikey Lee, the film's other producer. But before Lee got to deliver her speech, the lights went down on the stage and cameras focused on Jane Fonda, who was slated to deliver the night's closing remarks. The audience was instantly outraged, and stars like Tom Hanks and Charlize Theron, who were sitting in the front row, started chanting "Up, up" to persuade the showrunners to turn the attention back to Parasite. Luckily, the cheers worked and Lee was able to deliver her remarks, but it didn't stop tons of outrage from coming out in reaction to the rude dismissal. And now, finally, we come to the Oscars that were literally just held a few days ago with another big scandal. As Chris Rock took to the stage to present the award for Best Documentary, the comedian made a few jabs at Hollywood and its actors. One such jab was toward Jada Pinkett Smith, who suffers from alopecia. Basically, it was a joke aimed at her being bald, to which Jada's husband, Will Smith obviously, rushes the stage and slaps the words right out of Chris Rock's mouth. Chris was obviously super shocked, and Will Smith sat back in his seat but shouted back at Chris not to talk badly on his wife. Everyone in the crowd was super stunned, obviously. A fight has never broken out on the Oscars stage before. And it was just super sweet chicken soup for my middle-class soul.
In at number 10, Tuba Atlantic. 2010 film Tuba Atlantic was another movie that had its nomination revoked after it broke the Oscars rules. The film was a Norwegian short film about a 70-year-old man who only had 6 days to live and spends that time reconciling with his estranged family. It was nominated for Best Live Action Short Film in 2012, and it was a huge step for the Norwegian film industry. However, the nomination for this movie was revoked after the Academy discovered that the film was already shown on Norwegian television before it was released in theaters, which is a huge no-no for the Academy, which is purely for movies released in theaters. After investigation, it was determined that the producers of the film did not disclose that the movie was shown on TV beforehand, even though they were directly asked if it had been in the submission forms, and the producers checked no on these forms. After the nomination was taken away, one of the filmmakers claimed that they were shocked over the decision, as they apparently knew about the TV broadcast and were fine with it. The filmmakers continued that they believe there were exceptions to the rule if the film was shown to film students. The Oscars denied knowing anything beforehand.
Next up on the list is a horrifyingly cringy musical number that actor Rob Lowe did with a Snow White impersonator. This happened during the 1989 Oscars, which was considered a year of many firsts. The first time the ceremony used the famous red carpet, first time the term, quote, "and the Oscar goes to" was used, and the first time the show didn't have a host. Instead of a host opening the awards, it was Rob Lowe and Snow White singing an 11-minute version of Tina Turner's track Proud Mary, with the lyrics tweaked to fit the show's theme. The performance was super awkward and cringy, but the scandal part comes from it also being illegal. The performance prompted Disney Studios to file a copyright infringement lawsuit against the Academy for using Snow White's image without permission. On top of that, a group of 17 heavyweight actors wrote in to write a scathing letter to the Academy, calling the performance an embarrassment to the people who were nominated. Yikes.
In at number 8, Marlon Brando. Along with the 2022 Oscars, the 1973 Oscars is also remembered for a shocking event. That year, Francis Ford Coppola's mob crime drama The Godfather was nominated for 9 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actor for Marlon Brando. When it was announced that Brando had won the prestigious award, he did not come to the stage to accept it. Rather, a woman named Sasheen Littlefeather came on stage on his behalf. She said that Brando, quote, very regretfully cannot accept this very generous award, and the reason for this being are the treatment of American Indians today by the film industry. In the middle of the speech, Littlefeather was booed for her words, and the audience was not accepting of her words. It was also reported that 6 security guards had to hold back John Wayne because he was so angered by what she was saying.
Next up on the docket is the time that Bjork made international headlines for her bizarre and iconic dress at the 2001 Academy Awards ceremony. While the dress certainly made a statement on its own, the quirky artist took it one step further by pretending to lay an egg on the red carpet. She had a bunch of ostrich eggs and she just left them all over the red carpet, and reportedly also left one in the women's bathroom while inside the ceremony. Her outfit was so memorable that it is now a part of an exhibit at the Museum of Modern Art.
And at number 6, 13 Hours. In 2017, 13 Hours earned a single Oscar nomination for Best Achievement in Sound Mixing, with 4 members of the sound team, Gary Summers, Jeffrey J. Habush, Mac Ruth, and Greg P. Russell getting acknowledged for their work. However, just one day before the award show was to be held, the Academy announced that they were rescinding the nomination for Greg P. Russell for breaking the rules. He was accused of telephone lobbying, which is essentially begging for votes from the members of the Academy. The Oscars revealed their decision in a statement, saying in part, quote, upon recommendation by the Sound Branch Executive Committee, the Academy's Board of Governors voted to rescind the sound mixing nomination for Greg P. Russell from 13 Hours. The decision was prompted by the discovery that Russell had called his fellow members of the Sound Branch during the nominations phase to make them aware of his work on the film, in direct violation of a campaign regulation that prohibits telephone lobbying.
Next on the list is the 2003 Oscars, and more specifically when Michael Moore took to the stage after his win for the Best Documentary category. While we've all heard the music start to kick up when the acceptance speech goes on for a tad too long, Michael Moore was well within his time slot when he had to be cut off. That's because, like the political commentator he is, he directly attacked George W. Bush for the unnecessary invasion of Iraq. Quote, we live in a time where we have a man sending us to a war for fictitious reasons. Shame on you, Mr. Bush, shame on you. He was met with boos from the audience and was quickly played off stage. Ironic, honestly, especially when Michael Moore was criticizing presidents long before it was okay to do so, and the same people who booed him off stage ribbed future presidents at other award shows. Just shows the shallowness of the whole thing.
And at number 4, Alone Yet Not Alone. In 2014, the main song from the Christian film Alone Yet Not Alone was nominated for Best Original Song, but the nomination was revoked 2 weeks later. This was because the award show discovered that Bruce Brutton, the song's composer and an executive committee member of the Academy's music branch, had emailed members of the Academy to try and butter them up for votes. The Academy posted a statement writing that Brutton, quote, had emailed some of the other 239 members of the branch to make them aware of his submission during the nominations voting period, which goes against Academy rules. The Academy president at the time continued that even though it was most likely well-intentioned, promoting a member's own Oscar nomination to their colleagues is an unfair advantage. After the decision, he told The Hollywood Reporter, quote, I'm devastated. I indulged in the simplest grassroots campaign, and it went against me when the song started to get attention. I got taken down by competition that had months of promotion and advertising behind them. I simply asked people to find the song and consider it.
Next up is the infamous 2017 Best Picture announcement mix-up. At the very end of the ceremony, Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty took to the stage to reveal the night's big-ticket Best Picture winner. All was going smoothly until Beatty went to read the winner. He looked noticeably confused, and some wondered if he was having a hard time seeing the teleprompter. He held the card out to Dunaway, who assumed he was changing up the script and allowing her to read out the winner. She announced La La Land, and the cast and crew filed on stage to celebrate. Backstage, Academy accountants from PricewaterhouseCoopers sprung into action and alerted production that the wrong envelope had been given and that Moonlight actually had won Best Picture. Stage managers scurried on stage to correct the gaffe. So what happened? Turns out Beattie had been handed an extra Best Actress envelope, which had gone to Emma Stone from La La Land, instead of the one labeled Best Picture. A production error earlier in the day meant that they had run out of time to rehearse the last few awards prior to showtime, which could have contributed to the mistake. Oopsies. And at number 2, Dudley Nichols. Some celebrities are stripped of their Oscars awards or nominations, but the first person to ever reject receiving the award was screenwriter Dudley Nichols, who won for Best Screenplay in the 1935 film The Informer. The movie was set during the Irish War of Independence and was adapted from the novel of the same name by Liam O'Flaherty. The movie won multiple awards, with the director John Ford going on to win Best Director, with Nichols winning Best Screenplay. After rejecting the award, Nichols revealed he did so to support an ongoing writer's strike in Hollywood. And finally, number 1, George C. Scott. Another celebrity who refused to accept their Oscar win was actor George C. Scott. He won the award for Best Actor in 1971 for acting in the film Patton. He announced ahead of time that he would not be attending the awards because he didn't approve of the snooty event. He told press that the show was a quote 2-hour meat parade, calling it quote barbaric and innately corrupt. Even though he trashed the show multiple times beforehand, the Oscars still decided to honor him with the award for his work in the film. The film's producer Frank McCarthy accepted the award on his behalf. McCarthy then returned it to the Academy the following day, as Scott had requested. And at number 10, Eminem. In 2003, the Oscars category for Best Original Song was jam-packed with big contenders, including the fan favorite Eminem track Lose Yourself from 8 Mile. Lose Yourself actually ended up winning the award, and nobody was more shocked than the rapper himself. After he won, Eminem did not get up on stage, and one of his other collaborators accepted the award on his behalf, saying that Eminem was not able to make it that night. But the truth is that Eminem was so convinced he would not win the award, he didn't bother to show up. In an interview later, he was asked about that night, and Marshall admitted that he was actually asleep when it was announced that he won, which I'm sure the Oscars were not happy about.
At number 9, Ryan Seacrest. This one is more of a personal scandal than a high-profile one, but I'm gonna tell you about it because my boy Ryan was super hurt by it. Imagine being invited to one of Hollywood's biggest events just to get kicked out moments after you arrive. Well, this is basically what happened to Ryan Seacrest, as he was invited to the Oscars award ceremony one year and was kicked out of the awards show shortly afterwards. According to Ryan, he was invited to the award show to provide the segue from the pre-show event to the main award show, which in itself is a pretty big honor, but after he completed his task, he went to go find a seat because he assumed that he would be staying for the rest of the show, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. While he was looking for a seat, he was approached by the event's ushers and managers and was told, quote, "Mr. Seacrest, your car is ready." He was a little confused and was like, no, what do you mean? I just opened the show," to which they replied with, quote, "We don't have a ticket for you, Ryan." He continued recounting that experience, saying, quote, "They put me in a car and they drove me out, and the next thing I know, I'm on Hollywood Boulevard going away from the Oscars, and the LAPD are on the corner, the windows down, and they say, 'Hey Ryan, you're going the wrong way,' and I say, 'No, I'm going the right way.' They sent me home to watch on television like everyone else." He was pretty butthurt about it and maybe still holds a grudge for that, but at least he was able to get comfy at home.
And at number 8, Jennifer Lawrence. This is one you know we had to include. Jen is known for her quirky and down-to-earth personality and not taking herself too seriously. She's also quite the klutz, which she proved after she tripped while walking up to the stage to accept her Oscar for Best Actress in 2013. After she got up to the stage, the crowd gave her a standing ovation, and she said, quote, "You guys are just standing because you feel bad that I fell, and that's really embarrassing." And this isn't the only time that Jennifer has fallen. She actually fell at the Oscars again while on the red carpet a few years later. This Oscars klutziness has caused some to think she's just faking it all for press.
At number 7, Hattie McDaniel. Back in 1940, legendary actress Hattie McDaniel was nominated for an Academy Award for her work in Gone with the Wind, and she actually ended up winning the Oscar. However, because of segregation at the time, she was almost unable to accept the award because she was black, and they almost didn't let her attend the ceremony. Back then, the venue where the award ceremony was held was a whites-only establishment, so people from the studio that made the film had to pull a lot of strings to get the actress in the building, and even then she wasn't allowed to sit with the rest of the cast of Gone with the Wind. Instead, she was seated in the far corner of the venue away from everyone else, but as long as she was there and able to accept the award, that was enough. She made history that night and caused scandal, but it just showed Hollywood that racism will never win.
And at number 6, Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. The whole world fell in love with Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper when they were starring in the movie A Star Is Born. The on-screen chemistry between the pair was so amazing, many fans thought there was definitely a real connection between them. The rumors about these two got even crazier when the pair performed a ballad from the movie at the 2019 Oscars, and the chemistry during the performance was hard to deny. Lady Gaga had also recently broke up with her fiance Christian Carino around this time, leading many to think it was because of jealousy. And then during their performance, Bradley's longtime girlfriend Irina Shayk was sitting in the audience, which made things even more awkward. The whole situation got a ton of buzz for the movie, but might have had real-world consequences as Irina and Bradley split up shortly after.
At number 5, John Travolta. Now, I wouldn't really call this one a scandal per se, but it did have a lot of people talking and laughing about it, so I just had to include it. In 2014, John Travolta created one heck of a meme, and you probably remember it. At the Oscars that year, Idina Menzel was supposed to perform Let It Go from the movie Frozen, which was kind of the hottest movie at the time, and John Travolta was supposed to introduce her to the stage. Well, instead of introducing Idina, he instead welcomed someone named Adele Dazeem.
Gorgeously empowering song, Let It Go, from the Oscar-winning animated movie Frozen. Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem.
This mishap was incredibly embarrassing for both parties, as it created memes within minutes and was even the subject of a John Travolta name generator where it would scrabble your name like Adele Dazeem. Even though it was super cringy, there's actually an explanation for the whole unfortunate ordeal. According to John, Idina's name had been changed on the teleprompter at the last minute so that it was spelled phonetically because they didn't want to risk him messing it up. John hadn't rehearsed with the name spelt like that, so rather than the change help him out, it actually just made things so much worse, and Adele Dazeem was born.
And at number 4, the 1974 Oscar streaker. This one's a little less known, but since most award shows are live broadcasts, it's understandable that some people might try and take advantage. That's exactly what happened at the 1974 Oscars when a man decided to run naked through the broadcast. The man even flashed a peace sign while he ran past the presenter, David Niven. Niven was hardly fazed and responded by saying, quote, "Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was almost bound to happen, but isn't it fascinating to think that probably the only laugh that man will ever get in his life is by stripping off and showing his shortcomings." And honestly, probably the shadiest thing that I've ever heard.
At number 3, Sean Penn. Actor Sean Penn got into a bit of a scandal at the 2015 Academy Awards. The actor was announcing the award for Best Picture, but before reading the name of the winner, Alejandro G. Iñárritu, he made a joke that definitely did not land and actually offended quite a few people. Before announcing Alejandro as the winner, Sean joked saying, quote, "Who gave this son of a B a green card?" Sean's joke was seen as highly offensive and racist because of Alejandro's background, as one person online explained, quote, "Struggles people endure for immigration justice are not punchlines." As Alejandro is Mexican, the joke definitely was uncalled for and inappropriate. Some defended Sean, saying that he had only made the joke because they had been friends for about a decade, but others made the argument that, quote, "A director of color can't accept an Oscar without being the butt of a racist joke." The award show was supposed to be a scandal-free evening, but instead news outlets took to broadcasting Sean's offensive remark.
And at number 2, Marissa Tomei. Before we had the infamous Moonlight La La Land mix-up, there was a popular conspiracy theory going around claiming that Marissa Tomei did not actually win her 1993 Oscar. Instead, the presenter just said the wrong name and everyone went along with it. This theory was started because many were shocked to see that Tomei had won instead of her well-established competition. As well, following the event, The Hollywood Reporter printed a blind item about rumors that she hadn't really won. They claimed the presenter, Jack Palance, was too intoxicated to read it right, so he just read the last name as the winner. It was such a big rumor the Academy had to deny it many times. After the La La Land mix-up, we know that if she didn't really win, someone would have made it right.
And finally, in at number 1, Sasha Baron Cohen. Sasha Baron Cohen is quite the jokester and is known for his wild characters. From Bruno to Borat, he seems to almost always be in character, and this was seemingly no exception at the Academy Awards in 2012. Sasha was at the event and walked the red carpet in character as Admiral General Shabazz Al-Din from his film The Dictator, and along with being accompanied by 2 bodyguards, he had a prop with him, a golden urn filled with the pretend ashes of North Korean Premier Kim Jong-il. While walking the red carpet, he stopped to be interviewed by Ryan Seacrest, and then this happened.
The interesting thing is it's actually made by South Korea. No, sorry. You've got Kim Jong. You've got Kim Jong-il.
Sasha dumped the ashes on Ryan, ruining his suit and causing quite a scene at the event. Weeks later, we found out that Sasha's original target was actually George Clooney, but since it was a pretty big night for him, they skipped Clooney and the unfortunate prank landed on Ryan instead. After that, Ryan purposely steered clear of Sasha, refusing to interview him, and the Academy has been vigilant of Sasha's stunts, even though they haven't really been able to stop them since.
First on my list is Quentin Tarantino. If we're using a slap as a baseline for warranting revoking an Academy Award, then I think we should take a closer look at the very successful director who's definitely been the subject of some extremely controversial moments. Despite his movies being phenomenal, I think anyone with such a long controversies tab on their Wikipedia page should make the Academy pause all the Oscars coming their way. Tarantino has been accused of overusing racial slurs in his movie despite being white himself. He also had a girlfriend at the time who claimed to have an inappropriate interaction with the disgraced movie producer Harvey Weinstein. All Tarantino did at the time was go up to Weinstein and demand an apology, despite knowing the disgusting acts that the producer did to Tarantino's ex. He also knew of Uma Thurman's victimhood at the hands of Weinstein, of which he did nothing. There's a quote I would defer to in this situation like this: when someone may think it's not a big deal, silence in the face of injustice is complicity with the oppressor. Next on my list is Russell Crowe. The actor has won the Best Actor in the Leading Role award for the movie Gladiator. Despite that, he's barely in the news anymore because he was so plagued by controversy and is better known for his rather violent temper. He once threw his phone at a hotel employee because he was angry at his phone for not working. We're not sure if he meant to hit the employee, but either way, no adult should have such childlike meltdowns because things aren't going their way. Next up is Sean Penn. Sean Penn is also another actor who has his own controversy tab on Wikipedia. He won Best Leading Actor at the Academy Awards 2 separate times for his work on the movie Mystic River in 2004 and Milk in 2009. That being said, he got into some hot water because of some derogatory comments he made towards men becoming more feminine. Quote, "I think that men have, in my view, become quite feminized. I have these very strong women in my life who do not take masculinity as a sign of oppression towards them. There are a lot of, I think, cowardly genes that lead to people surrendering their genes and putting on a skirt." A lot of people are calling this comment transphobic, especially after he said prior to this, quote, "I am in the club that believes that men in American culture have become wildly feminized. I don't think that being a brute or having insensitivity or disrespect for women is anything to do with masculinity or ever did. But I don't think that in order to be fair to women, we should become them." Ironically, again, he won the Oscar for playing Harvey Milk, a gay rights icon who he may consider to be a feminine man. Next is Morgan Freeman. Despite being a very beloved actor and a man known for his soothing voice, Morgan Freeman has kind of a complicated history with women. 8 separate women throughout his various times on different film sets throughout the years have spoken out about his extremely inappropriate behavior. One woman stated that he made comments on her figure and clothing on a near daily basis and would touch her without asking by resting his hands on her lower back or rubbing her lower back. Another woman stated that Freeman, quote, "kept trying to lift up my skirt and asking if I was wearing underwear. He only stopped when another actor, Adam Arkin, told him to stop." A senior production company employee for the film Now You See Me stated that, quote, "he did comment on our bodies. We knew that if he was coming by, not to wear any top that would show our breasts, not to wear anything that would show our bottoms, meaning not wear clothes that were fitted. Also not to mention that he dated and slept with his own step-granddaughter. Don't meet your heroes, I guess." Next on the list is Casey Affleck. He's won 2 separate Academy Awards, one for Best Actor and another for Best Supporting Actor. Casey has a highly publicized history of being lecherous towards women. One movie he filmed in particular, called I'm Still Here, saw 2 separate women go public with their story of horrifyingly inappropriate moments in which Casey got way too aggressive when these women would reject his proposal to sleep with him. Casey was sued by these 2 women who claimed that Affleck drunkenly crawled into bed with her without her consent while she was sleeping. Another alleged that he grabbed her violently to intimidate her into staying with him in his hotel room. Although Casey denies these allegations, he did suspiciously settle out of court with these women for an undisclosed amount of money, which doesn't really help a bid for innocence. Next up is Jared Leto, who won an Oscar for his performance in 2014 for Dallas Buyers Club. The dude is kind of a creep though. He has been hit with a lot of allegations over the years, including for targeting underage girls. On Twitter, Dylan Sprouse called out the behavior with the tweet, quote, "Yo Jared Leto, now that you've slid into the DMs of every female model aged 18 to 25, what would you say your success rate is?" James Gunn replied, quote, "He starts at 18 on the internet?" On the set of the 2016 movie Suicide Squad, Jared was also reportedly method acting and sent Margot Robbie a dead rat, alongside used condoms to other co-stars. It reminds me of this Robert Pattinson quote on method acting. Quote, "I always say about people who do method acting, you only ever see people do the method when they're playing assholes. You never see them being lovely to everyone while they're really deep in character." Next on the list is Mel Gibson, who has 3 Academy Awards, 2 for Braveheart and 1 for Hacksaw Ridge. He had a more than 10-year hiatus from Hollywood before filming Hacksaw Ridge because he was basically shut out from Hollywood after he had a DUI in 2006, during which he unleashed an insanely prejudiced rant towards Jewish folks. Following that was a leaked tape in 2010 where Gibson screamed racist remarks at his girlfriend, including the N-word. She later alleged he also hit her during their time together. He was also extremely homophobic and called Winona Ryder a quote, dodger in reference to her Judaism. Despite all of these insane events, Mel returned to Hollywood with basically no repercussions, and we all seem to give him infinite second chances. Obviously, his talent is undeniable. He's a phenomenal director, but others with his talent have also completely disappeared from Hollywood for much lesser charges. So what gives? Next on my list is Roman Polanski. Need I say more? His name is more synonymous with the horrifying acts he's done to a 13-year-old girl than it is with the movies that won him an Oscar. He has 5 Oscar nominations and 1 win in 2002 for his film The Pianist. He was on the lam in the late 70s to different countries after his horrific and brutal act with the He was temporarily arrested in Switzerland by Interpol and cannot go back to America or he will face life in prison. Instead, he lives between France, Switzerland, and Poland, making his movies in Europe rather than facing justice for his crime. And horrifyingly, he is still winning Oscars, as was the case in 2002. The only justice he faced was a house arrest in Switzerland for a few months, and in 2018, he was removed from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. That's it. Second to last on the list is Woody Allen. He's got a ton of Academy Awards for his movies over the years, with his latest being in 2014, despite the extremely public case of him having inappropriately touched his stepdaughter, who was 7 years old at the time and kid to actress Mia Farrow. The accusation came just 8 months after Mia Farrow learned that Woody Allen had a romantic relationship with another adopted daughter they shared, Soon-Yi Previn. Although the allegations are not proven, if we're considering taking an Oscar away for a slap to the face, I feel like we should much more closely examine the dubious people we've decided to let remain in the spotlight. Last on my list is Harvey Weinstein. We all know what he's done. I don't really think I need to go into the horrifying recounts by countless women of his coercing them into non-consensual acts. He has a total of 81 Oscar wins over the course of his production company's movies, but only 1 directly attributed to Weinstein himself for Shakespeare in Love. He was one of the biggest men in Hollywood and a top player. Despite having his status in the Academy revoked and the Academy as a voting party revoked in 2018, Harvey still holds his Oscar. He was enabled for years by the people around him who turned a blind eye to his actions purely due to his status in Hollywood. And now, even after Me Too, he still has the Academy Awards somewhere in his mansion home.
In at number 10, Roman Polanski.
And the Oscar goes to Roman Polanski for The Pianist.
Back in 2003, Roman Polanski had won the Oscar for directing The Pianist. However, due to him not showing up, Harrison Ford had to not only present the award, but accept it on his behalf. It's amazing that Polanski was still even considered at all for this category. After pleading guilty to having an unlawful relationship with an underage woman, he fled the US before he could be sentenced. So his status of refusal to accept the award probably came from the fact that he legally cannot be in the United States or else face jail time. He's like, no, but I'm good. We're sure that's why you're good. In at number 9, Woody Allen.
The Academy congratulates Woody Allen and accepts this award on his behalf.
Thank you.
Woody Allen has won a total of 4 Oscars but has only attended the event once. That clip was from 1978 where Allen won the Oscar for directing Annie Hall, but due to his refusal to accept, they had to accept it on his behalf. The only time that Woody Allen touched the stage at the Oscars was in 2002. It was less than 6 months following the attacks of September 11th, and Allen wanted to tell the audience that the Big Apple was still a wonderful place to make movies. After the awards, Allen said, "I have no regard for that kind of ceremony. I just don't think they know what they're doing. When you see who wins those things or who doesn't win them, you can see how meaningless this Oscar thing is." Well said, Woody, well said. You creep. In at number 8, Paul Newman.
Ladies and gentlemen, accepting the award for Paul Newman, the president of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, Mr. Robert Wise.
Paul Newman had a very understandable beef with the Academy after being nominated for the award of Best Actor 6 times and never winning. Yet year after year, Paul showed up because he was nominated and patiently waited again and again for his big win. By 1987, Newman had 2 honorary Oscars and 6 nominations to his name before finally winning for his role in The Color of Money. Although the one time that Paul actually won, he didn't show up. Later he told the Associated Press, "It's like chasing a beautiful woman for 80 years. Finally she relents and you say, 'I'm terribly sorry, I'm tired.'" I love these statements, like, damn. Again, I'll say it. Well said, Paul. Well said. In at number 7, Banksy.
Here are the nominees for Best Documentary Feature. Exit Through the Gift Shop, Banksy and Jamie DeCruz.
For those of you who don't know who Banksy is, he's an anonymous British street artist that is known around the world for his sometimes very political pieces. He's done everything from graffiti to full exhibits showcasing his work. A film was even made about him in 2010 called Exit Through the Gift Shop. It was a documentary that followed around some of the top street artists as they went through their process and tried to avoid the authorities while doing so. Banksy, being the anonymous character that he is, did appear in the film, but his face was hidden and his voice was altered to protect his identity. When the film was nominated for an Oscar, Banksy agreed to attend, with his only request being that they do not reveal his identity. Well, the Academy did not see the value in that and refused to accommodate his request. So instead of showing up to the Oscars, Banksy did what he does best. A couple days before the event, this mural suddenly appeared in Los Angeles. The mural equates the Hollywood elite to the Galactic Empire from Star Wars. And I just love the stormtroopers working the cameras while the Oscar statue is altered to appear in the image of a true artist. More specifically, a Banksy. In at number 6, Eminem.
Goes to... Woo! The Oscar goes to Eminem, Jeff Bass, and Luis Resto for Lose Yourself.
In 2003, the category for Best Original Song was jam-packed with big contenders. Eminem's Lose Yourself from the movie 8 Mile was against Burn It Blue from Frida, Father and Daughter from the Wild Thornberrys movie, The Hands That Built America from Gangs of New York, which had Bono writing on it, and I Move On from the movie Chicago. All of these had amazing musicians behind each track, to the point where even Eminem himself didn't think that he was going to win. Eminem thought the Oscars were just for actors, so number 1, he thought, why would I win this? And number 2, he thought, why would I show up for that? In an interview later on, he was asked about that night, and Marshall admitted that he was actually asleep when he won the Oscar. Instead, his co-writer Luis Resto had to accept the award on his behalf. In at number 5, Jean-Luc Godard.
As you know, the master, unfortunately, can't be with us here tonight.
For those of you who don't know who Jean-Luc Godard is, he's a very talented filmmaker from Switzerland that has been creating since 1950. In his early days as a film critic, Godard took aim at the way that mainstream French cinema had a tradition of quality, instead of focusing on innovation and experimentation. In late 2010, the Academy wanted to give Godard an honorary Oscar, although there was a slight issue. Jean-Luc never answered their calls, and when asked during an interview what this honorary award meant to him, Godard said, "Nothing. If the Academy likes to do it, let them do it. But I think it's strange. I ask myself, which of my films have they seen? Did they actually know my films?" And later on during that same interview, he was asked why he never attended, and to that, Godard said that he doesn't have a visa to fly into the US, nor does he want to apply for one, adding, "And I don't want to fly for that long." Fair enough, Jean-Luc, fair enough. In at number 4, Katharine Hepburn.
There is Katharine Hepburn and Golden Pond.
Oh, how I love that awkward moment during all of these Oscar win announcements where the presenter says the person's name and then there's no movement, and now they just have to awkwardly stand there as someone else comes up to accept it. Hepburn has hated the Oscars for most of her career. She has been nominated for 12 Oscars and won 4 of those, although every time she has chosen to avoid the night altogether. The only time that she decided to attend was in 1974. Katharine had been asked to present producer Lawrence Weingarten with a Fallberg Award, and during the ceremony though, Katharine said, "I'm very happy that I didn't hear anyone call out, 'It's about time.' I am living proof that a person can wait 41 years to be unselfish." I mean, you gotta give it up to this strong leading lady for that kind of commitment as well. In at number 3, Dudley Nichols. Unfortunately, I wish we could have some sort of clip for Dudley like we did with everyone else, but the reality is, Dudley is the OG of refusing Oscars. In fact, in 1935, he was the very first person to ever refuse the award. Dudley had won Best Screenplay for the film The Informer, a film about the Irish War of Independence. His reason for boycotting the event was over an ongoing dispute that Dudley had with the Academy and the Writers Guild. The LA Times even recorded that he tried to give back his award, like he was returning a pair of jeans. Eventually, he was able to return the award, and with it he attached a note. The note said, "It would be to turn my back on nearly 1,000 members who ventured everything in the long drawn out fight for a genuine writers organization." I mean, how powerful is that? Like, you remember when people used to stand for something? You go, Dudley, you go. In at number 2, George C. Scott.
Oh my god. The winner is George C. Scott.
Accepting the coveted.
Much like Dudley, George had a real problem with the Academy and the way they operated. In 1961, he received a nomination for Best Supporting Actor, but he told the Academy that he didn't want it. Furthermore, he told them that he disagreed on the principle of the award. George thought that the Oscars were simply a competition that pitted fellow actors against each other. Because of this controversy with the Academy, George would not be nominated again until 1971. However, the first year that they had him back in the nominations, this time it was for the Best Actor category, and sure enough, he won. And not only did he refuse to accept the award, or any of the nominations before that, he didn't show up at all. He went on again to insult the ceremony further, calling it, and I quote, "a 2-hour meat parade, a public display with contrived suspense for economic reasons." Powerful George C. Scott. I love that he decided to just dig his heels in further with his stance against the Oscars. Last but not least, in our number 1 spot, Marlon Brando.
Hello, my name is Sasheen Littlefeather. I'm Apache.
Marlon Brando truly is the Godfather. Not only does he not show up to accept his award, but instead he sent a Native American woman to refuse it for him. You can see in the clip that the presenter extends the statue out to her and she just holds up her hand like, I'm good, chief, I'm good. And the woman said that her name was Sasheen Littlefeather, and at the time she was a little-known actress and president of the National Native American Affirmative Image Committee. Brando believed that the Native American image had been completely disrespected by the film industry, so his reason for refusing the award was due to the treatment of American Indians, but the crowd could not accept that. Midway through Littlefeather's speech, the celebrity audience members started booing her, and then later on making very crude comments towards her. Yet regardless of what they thought, this speech remains as one of the most powerful moments in Oscar history.
Coming at number 10, Paris Hilton. While Paris Hilton tends to be in attendance at almost every party, fashion show, and awards, even Paris Hilton reportedly was banned from attending the Oscars since 2008. And when the socialite first heard of the news, she surely wasn't happy about it, and she was actually devastated that she couldn't attend the prestigious award event. With a source claiming that Paris cried a lot when she found out she was banned from the Oscars, it would also be noticed that Paris was desperate to be taken seriously as an actress, and she hoped she would be able to network with the film bods. Word on the block is Paris even spent $2 million on a dress for the ceremony back in 2008 before she heard about her ban, which left her feeling so embarrassed to attend the Oscars after show parties, and even considering going in disguise due to her ban. She was even tempted to go to the parties afterwards but wear her trademark wig to save her dignity. Said that Paris would even find herself being snubbed from the event in a bid to prevent the event from turning into a down market scrum. Hi my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming at number 9, we have Will Smith. So last year, actor Will Smith was issued a 10-year ban by the Film Academy after he disrupted the recent 94th Oscars by slapping presenter Chris Rock on the stage. The ban prohibits Smith from attending all Academy-related events, both virtual and in person, for a period of 10 years. It doesn't, however, make him ineligible for nominations at the Oscars. Smith had taken offense to a joke Chris made about his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, and he then walked up on the stage and in a shocking moment hit the comedian across the face. Less than an hour later, Will would then win the Oscar for Best Actor, and in his speech he would apologize for his fellow nominees in the Academy. A day later, he issued a public apology to Rock, and sometime after that, he announced his resignation from the Academy. The Academy would then come out with a statement and said the 94th Oscars was meant to be a celebration of many individuals in our community who did incredible work this past year. However, those moments were overshadowed by the unacceptable and harmful
harmful behavior we saw Mr. Smith exhibit on stage. The actor then went on to accept the decision, which means he will no longer be able to attend this year's ceremony as a presenter, as in the tradition of the Oscars. While the decision to expel a member isn't unheard of before it happened to Smith, there have actually been a handful of members expelled by the Academy. Coming at number 8, we have Kevin Spacey. After allegations made by more than 30 different individuals that Kevin Spacey had made 30 unwanted advances towards younger men, in 2017 BuzzFeed would publish allegations made by Anthony Rapp that said Kevin had made some unwanted advances towards Rapp when he was only 14. And since, more than 30 people have come forward with their own allegations against Spacey, with accounts ranging from a number of different allegations. Bringing the lawsuit to light would stand as part of a larger movement to stand up against all forms of violence. Rapp claimed that Spacey climbed on top of him at a party in New York City when he was younger. Kevin would then gladly deny Rapp's allegations, and his lawyers would create this story, in which in a large part of the made-up story would claim that Anthony was jealous of Spacey's career in the entertainment industry. And then, when more allegations started to come forward, Kevin would finally admit to his actions, but said it was okay because he was gay. Since the allegations have come forward, Kevin is now blacklisted from Hollywood, and he will no longer be allowed to attend any award shows anytime soon. Number 7, Miley Cyrus. Have you ever noticed that Miley Cyrus has been pretty much missing from all the award shows lately? Well, back in 2020, Miley would post a clip of herself from the 2013 MTV EMAs, where she would be shown taking out a pre-roll from her black Chanel clutch and lighting it up on stage in the middle of her presenting duties. While sporting a bodysuit and a furry coat, she then oozed an effort amount of cool when she did the unthinkable during the show. With Miley taking a clip and posting it, she would caption the clip by saying, "Wonder why I'm not invited to award shows anymore." While the star hasn't chosen to elaborate on the video, it certainly isn't really clear if she was joking or not, but it has been some time that we've seen Miley hitting up the award shows. And it looked like her celebrity friends, like designer Alexander Wang, found the dig humorous enough. He even told the Wild Child to never change. Even Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star Lisa would chime in to let Miley know if she ever had an award show, she would have the singer there. Whether it's true or not, we love a good Miley presenting the celebrations, as she always comes out to slay. Number 6, Adam Kimmel. Cinematographer Adam Kimmel is known for his work on Lars in The Real Girl. However, in 2021, Adam would find himself being expelled from the Academy following the emergence of his history after allegations came forward about his misconduct with women. Adam had been arrested twice. Both times, the allegations involved a younger female. In 2003, when he was 43 years old, he would plead guilty to making unwanted advances to a girl in New York who was around 15 and 16 years old. In 2010, Kimmel would be arrested again in Connecticut for 4th degree of unwanted advancements involving a younger person and failure to register as a SO. Due to the crimes and the hurt he inflicted on a handful of younger women, the Academy saw fit to expel Adam from the Academy and permanently place a ban on him from attending any Academy Awards. While the Academy strives on protecting the safety of their performers and guests, they couldn't guarantee that Adam wouldn't be a threat to any female in the audience, and they couldn't justify his actions and decided that he should be banned from attending the ceremonies going forward. But the fact that his crimes happened between 2003 and 2010 and the Academy still allowed him to attend the ceremonies until 2021 is actually pretty messed up. Number 5, Kevin Hart. After an old controversy from 2018 continued to dominate the headlines in 2019 after he was announced as being the host for the 2019 Academy Awards, comedian Kevin Hart publicly stepped down from his gig when a series of old homophobic tweets resurfaced. Kevin's anti-gay ideology wasn't exactly a secret before, as he devoted part of his 2010 stand-up special to describe his terror that his son would turn out to be gay and his intention to prevent it however he could. And after that year, you think Hollywood might have done some Twitter search before naming its host. And Kevin's response just hours before stepping down, he would not apologize, and he would say in a video, "Guys, I'm almost 40 years old. If you don't believe that people change, grow, evolve as they get older, I don't know what to tell you. I want to hold people in a position where they always have to justify or explain the past. Then you do. I'm the wrong guy, man. I'm in a great place, a great mature place, where all I do is spread positivity. 6 hours later though, he would reconsider and he would finally step down from his hosting gig, and then he would make a formal apology to the LGBTQ community, and you probably won't see him attending any award shows anytime soon. Number 4, Pamela Anderson. Pamela Anderson is another woman banned from the Oscars like Paris Hilton in an attempt for the award ceremony to keep things more classy. Except everything about Pamela Anderson is actually pretty classy except for her R-rated tape. Sources would confirm that Pamela would be banned from attending the ceremony so the Academy officials could prevent the evening from turning into a downmarket scrum. The inside source would also continue to say that the Academy plans to focus more on those people who have worked in the film industry for years, not people who were merely celebrities in other areas. But Pamela has been in the industry since 1991, when she landed her most major acting gig on Baywatch and gave us the iconic red bathing suit look. So to say that she couldn't be at the Oscars because she wasn't in the film industry for years would just be absurd. But then other sources would come forward to say the decision to ban certain stars is down to the fact that Hollywood's Kodak Theater holds less than half the capacity of the previous venue, and even high-profile stars are struggling to secure tickets to the event. But if that's a real case, why would the Academy even think it was a good idea to downgrade their venue to one of the biggest award shows of the year? Number 3, Carmine Carditi. The Godfather star Carmine Carditi was banned from the Oscars after he was summoned by the FBI. While Carmine's strength as an actor got him steady work for many years, eventually earning him his membership in the Academy. As a member, he was actually pretty inappropriate to viewers. Eventually, trouble would come to town when Russell Prague visited Chicago and was introduced to Carmine by another member of the Godfather Part 3 cast. When Carmine mentioned that he was able to watch screeners for the latest film, Russell was somehow able to talk him into sharing these screeners with him. As part of Carmine's agreement with the Academy, this was not allowed. Even so, Carmine decided to still go along with it as he wanted to share his privileged position with a friend. This would work out well for time, but things quickly began to spiral out of control when the FBI got involved. Rather than a harmless movie fan Carmine thought Russell was, he actually turned out to be one of the most notorious film pirates in the country. Instead of watching the movies, he would copy them and distribute them to the internet. With both men being taken in by the FBI, Carmine would find himself being sued by Columbia Pictures and Warner Brothers, and he would become the first person ever banned from the Academy. Number 2, Roman Polanski. Movie director Roman Polanski would end up being expelled from the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts, and Sciences over charges of unwanted advances on younger women. Back in August of 2020, Roman would lose a court bid to be reinstated as a member. Roman, who won an Oscar in 2003, would be banned by the Academy in May 2018 because of a long-standing criminal case, which dates all the way back to 1977. The director then argued in a civil lawsuit he was denied by the Academy when it decided to expel him under a code of conduct drawn up in response to his unwanted advancement misconduct allegations against dozens in the entertainment industry. The Los Angeles Superior Court Judge Mary H. Strobel wrote in a ruling that Polanski was given the opportunity to present any evidence he deemed relevant to the Academy, including a lengthy brief from his attorney and a video statement. While Roman has continued to deny his misconduct, he did win an Oscar in 2003 for The Pianist. But I think we were all pleased when the court confirmed that the Academy's procedure to ban him from the awards ceremony was both fair and reasonable. And coming in at number 1 today, we have Britney Spears. Britney Spears has found herself being barred from the Oscars since 2005, and since she's even been banned from attending all the celebrity-filled pre-Oscar parties. While Britney has been desperate to dress up and snare an invite to one of several glitzy bashes that are happening across LA, she's been met with a stony and embarrassing silence from the organizers. Britney is definitely still a big name in Hollywood, and a lot of people in town know her for all the wrong reasons. While the Oscars has chosen to snub her from pretty much anything, they claim it's because she's a car crash waiting to happen, and organizers don't want to take the risk of her showing up and creating a scene. With every celebrity battling to secure the most high-profile guest, Britney is being seen as a gamble no one wants to take, with one source saying her presence at any party would instantly generate lots of publicity, but while it's tempting to send out an invite, it's a hassle they don't really want. There's also still been a mounting concern among fellow A-listers of Britney's mental health, and they feel like the parties Charlize would still be too much for Britney, and her fragile state might just tip her over the edge if she was to attend. While Britney was definitely devastated over the snubs, she definitely has a lot to look forward to as she's back in the studio creating some major bangers.
Coming in at 10, Taron Egerton. At the 2020 Golden Globes, Taron Egerton took home the award for Best Performance by an Actor in a Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy for his role as Elton John in the movie Rocketman. The film follows Elton in his early days as a prodigy at the Royal Academy of Music through his musical partnership with Tobin. However, unlike Rami Malek, who portrayed Freddie Mercury in the movie Bohemian Rhapsody and went on to win the Best Actor Oscar last year, Egerton didn't even receive a nomination. Coming in at 9, Willem Dafoe. Dafoe is a legendary actor with 2 Oscar nominations under his belt for both At Eternity's Gate and the incredible Florida Project. However, his quest for a 3rd Oscar nod has been halted during a time when most were expecting him to at least get a chance to claim the big prize. Dafoe starred last year in the horror movie The Lighthouse, which followed 2 lighthouse keepers who start to lose their sanity when a storm strands them on a remote island where they are stationed. The movie received universal acclaim, with critics highlighting the performances of both leads, Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. However, sadly, the Academy didn't feel the same way and snubbed the talented actor. Could be just because they hate horror movies. In at 8, Christian Bale. Last year, Christian Bale appeared alongside Matt Damon in the drama movie Ford vs Ferrari, a movie which follows a determined team of American engineers and designers led by automotive visionary Carroll Shelby and his British driver Ken Miles, who are dispatched by Henry Ford II and Lee Iacocca with the mission of building the Ford GT40, a new racing car with the potential to finally defeat the perennially dominant Ferrari racing team at the 1966 24 Hours of Le Mans race in France. Now, Bale in the past has been nominated for 4 Oscars, with him taking home the Oscar once with the 2011 Best Supporting Actor win for The Fighter. Put him in serious contention once again, however sadly he didn't get the nod this time around. Coming in at 7, Nicole Kidman. Last year, Nicole Kidman appeared alongside Charlize Theron and Margot Robbie in the biographical drama Bombshell, a movie based upon the accounts of several women at Fox News who set out to expose CEO Roger Ailes for sexual harassment. The film as a whole received mixed reviews, however critics praised the performances of the cast, particularly Theron, Kidman, Robbie and John Lithgow. At the Golden Globe Awards, the movie received 2 nominations for Theron and Robbie, and 4 at the 26th Screen Actors Guild Awards for Theron, Robbie and Kidman. However, when the Oscars announced the nominations, only Theron and Robbie received a nod, with Nicole Kidman being completely forgotten about. You never put Kidman in a corner. In at 6, Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy is back and better than ever, apparently. Last year he starred in the biographical comedy Dolomite Is My Name, with Murphy starring as filmmaker Rudy Ray Moore, best known for portraying the character of Dolomite in both his stand-up routine and a series of blaxploitation films, starting with Dolomite in 1975. The film received hugely positive reviews from critics, with folks praising Murphy's comeback performance, with it being his first film in 3 years. It was also chosen by both the National Board of Review and Time magazine as one of the 10 best films of the year. At the 77th Golden Globe Awards, the film was also nominated for Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy, with Murphy also nabbing a nomination for Best Actor. However, like the rest of our list, Murphy came up short at the Oscars, with the Academy seemingly snubbing him. In at 5, Lupita Nyong'o. Now, Lupita Nyong'o didn't just give one stellar performance in 2019, she gave 2 in the wickedly terrifying Jordan Peele movie Us. The film followed Adelaide Wilson and her family, who were attacked by a group of menacing doppelgangers. Now, Lupita played Adelaide and of course the doppelganger, and she was absolutely incredible in both roles. But sadly, the Academy didn't agree and denied the actress a 2nd nomination after she won Best Supporting Actress for 12 Years a Slave back in 2013. In at 4, Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler received very rare critical acclaim for his performance in Uncut Gems, a movie that follows Howard Ratner, a jeweler and gambling addict in New York City's Diamond District, who gets in over his head with loan sharks and must retrieve an expensive gem he purchased in order to pay off his debts. Now, Sandler campaigned hard for a nomination, and longtime fans were there right alongside him, hoping the comedian could earn his very first nomination. However, Sandler sadly got no love from the Academy, upsetting a lot of fans and the movie. To be fair, it's hard to separate Sandler from his past, such as 50 First Dates, Happy Gilmore, and all the other he's done. In at number 3, Awkwafina. Now this one is the most frustrating in my opinion, because how do you go from winning a Golden Globe to not even getting nominated for an Oscar? I just don't understand it. It reminds me of the time the Queen, Madonna, won the Golden Globe for Evita and then was snubbed for the Oscar when we all know she should have been nominated and should have won. Just saying.
Anyway, Awkwafina starred in The Farewell, a movie that follows a family who, upon learning their grandmother has only a short while left to live, decides not to tell her and schedules a family gathering before she dies. The actress was praised for her performance and, as I previously mentioned, even won the Golden Globe, making her the first Asian actress to take home the Best Actress in a musical or comedy category, which is absolutely insane. But sadly, and for some unknown reason, the Oscars didn't even look her way. No one cares about the Oscars anyway, it's all about the Golden Globes. Coming in at 2, Robert De Niro. Fans were of course upset when legendary actor Robert De Niro also missed out on an Oscar nod, but it wasn't too much of a surprise considering he also failed to get a nomination at the Golden Globes or Screen Actors Guild. He starred in The Irishman, where he played Frank Sheeran. The film follows Frank, a truck driver who becomes a hitman involved with mobster Russell Bufalino and his crime family, including his time working for the powerful team star Jimmy Hoffa. The film made waves for its incredible de-aging technology, with the older actors looking more youthful than ever. However, it became clear after a handful of failed nominations that the two-time Oscar winner in a critically praised role was about to miss out on an Oscar nod, due to being overshadowed by his supporting co-stars Joe Pesci and Al Pacino. Could also be because the film was about 3.5 hours long and no one has time to watch that. And finally coming in at number 1, J-Lo. It was widely predicted that Jennifer Lopez was going to receive a Best Supporting Actress nomination at the Oscars, as she did at the Golden Globes. The actress was of course nominated for her performance in Hustlers, where she played a stripper named Ramona Vega, with the plot following a crew of strippers in New York City who begin to steal money by drugging stock traders and CEOs who visit their club, and then running up their credit cards. J-Lo is absolutely phenomenal in this movie, with the actress even bringing home Screen Actors Guild, Critics' Choice and Golden Globe nominations. However, the Oscars turned a blind eye to the star's performance and snubbed her, with outcry immediately pouring out on social media. Lopez's snub particularly upset Tyler Perry, who said, I quote, "I'm upset, man. J-Lo didn't get nominated. Are you kidding me? She should have gotten nominated." I honestly couldn't agree more. Hustlers was by far one of my favorite movies of 2019, and that is saying something. I honestly thought it was gonna be and it was one of the best things I've ever seen. And J-Lo needs an Oscar.
Unless you're living under a rock, you know that Will Smith showed a completely different side of himself to the world at last night's Oscars. While comedian Chris Rock was speaking to the crowd and taking some digs at the celebrities in the audience, Rock decided to take a jab at Jada Pinkett Smith, and I'm sure he regrets it right about now. Chris said, quote, "Jada, love you, G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it," referencing her almost bald head, because in the movie G.I. Jane, the lead actress Demi Moore had a shaved head. Jada has been open about her struggle with alopecia, and she was likely forced to wear her hair this way because she's not able to grow hair completely. Immediately after the joke, Will Smith decided to get up, interrupt the broadcast, and slap Chris Rock right in the face for millions to see. Chris looked stunned and was not sure exactly how to respond. Will walked back to his seat and yelled, quote, "Shut your mouth, keep your wife's name out of your effing mouth," twice. The internet was set ablaze by this slap, with many not even sure if it was real or just staged for publicity. But considering the aftermath, there's no doubt in my mind that this was a spur-of-a-moment decision from Will. Although many pointed out that Will actually laughed at the joke moments before deciding to get up and slap Chris Rock. Now it's controversial, with many surprisingly defending Will for this slap, claiming Chris Rock's joke was out of line. However, the majority seem to believe it's never right to attack a person and are hoping that Smith faces some sort of repercussion for his actions. Let's get into the reasons why this move might have completely destroyed his career. Firstly, he deflected the blame. Moments after the slap, the award for Best Actor was presented. This was the award that Smith was favored to win. Many were not sure if he would be asked to leave the show, or if the Oscars might actually change the winner to someone else at the last moment. However, he did win the award for his portrayal of Richard Williams in the movie King Richard, based on the father of tennis stars Venus and Serena Williams. When he came up to accept the award, fans were hoping that he would apologize to Chris Rock and the fans, but he did not, and he actually deflected the blame, even comparing himself to Richard Williams. Smith said in part, quote, "Richard Williams was a fierce defender of his family. I'm being called in on my life to love people and to protect people and to be a river to my people. I know to do what we do, you gotta be able to take criticism. You gotta be able to have people talk crazy about you. In this business, you gotta be able to have people disrespecting you. And you gotta smile, you gotta pretend like it's okay." He also added, quote, "Love will make you do crazy things." He later apologized to the Academy and his fellow nominees, but many did not think this apology went far enough, especially since he deflected the blame for the action beforehand, blaming his instincts to protect his family for deciding to do an unprecedented action at the most prestigious award show there is. One fan wrote on Twitter after the speech, quote, "All the media outlets tweeting about Will Smith apologizing in his acceptance speech were clearly watching a different award ceremony. Smith's tearful speech did not include an apology to Chris Rock. So clearly, in my opinion, he is not sorry to Chris Rock." Next up, showed his true colors. Will Smith has been long considered one of the nicest and most humble A-list celebrities there is. But after this incident, people are starting to think differently of him, because no truly nice person would do what Will Smith did. Maybe this is the type of person he's actually been all along, and the nice guy image that he's cultivated is fake, with many comparing him to other celebrities like Ellen DeGeneres, who was exposed for being mean. Many tweets online after the incident accused Smith of showing his true colors with his action. It essentially took him less than 5 seconds to decide to not only physically harm someone, but to disrespect the Oscars and everyone else that was there that night. I guess people will make their own decisions about his character moving forward, but for a lot of fans, their opinion of him has changed. Didn't apologize to Chris Rock. Since Will Smith won the award for Best Actor just moments after slapping Chris Rock, many thought he would take this time to apologize to Chris Rock for the insane move. But he didn't. He apologized to almost everyone else other than the person that he hit. During his speech, Smith said, quote, "Denzel Washington said to me, at your highest moment, be careful, that's when the devil comes for you." Adding, quote, "I want to apologize to the Academy, I want to apologize to my fellow nominees," at no point mentioning Chris Rock. Then he tried to lighten the mood by saying, quote, "Art imitates life. I look like a crazy father just like they said, but love will make you do crazy things." Other celebrities are vocal against him. After the shocking altercation, some celebrities took to Twitter to share how much they disagree with Will Smith's actions. Director Judd Apatow was probably the most vocal, who said in a series of tweets, quote, "Seems like Will Smith's plan to get comedian and the world not to make jokes about him is not going to pan out. The Williams family must be furious, pure narcissism. Also, G.I. Jane was gorgeous. What exactly is insulting about being compared to a ripped, stunning Demi Moore?" He then replied to a tweet that mentioned that he did what he did because Chris Rock was insulting her alopecia. Apatow doubled down, writing, quote, "He could have killed him. That's pure out-of-control rage and violence. They've heard a million jokes about them in the last 3 decades. They are not freshmen in the world of Hollywood and comedy. He lost his mind." Apatow has since deleted these tweets. Kathy Griffin also chimed in, tweeting out, quote, "Let me tell you something. It's very bad practice to walk up on stage and physically assault a comedian. Now we all have to worry about who wants to be the next Will Smith in comedy clubs and theaters. Blacklisted from other award shows." It's not a stretch to think that other award shows might not allow Will Smith to attend after he slapped a host while they were presenting. The Academy tweeted after, quote, "The Academy does not condone violence of any form. Tonight we are delighted to celebrate our 94th Academy Awards winners who deserve this moment of recognition from their peers and movie lovers around the world." Clearly, they did not want to publicly trash one of their winners, but I'm sure they are not happy with what took place. And finally, he could get arrested. Just a reminder that what Will Smith did was illegal, and he could have easily been arrested and charged. The LAPD said in a statement after the Oscars, quote, "LAPD investigative entities are aware of an incident between 2 individuals during the Academy Awards program. The incident involved one individual slapping another. The individual involved has declined to file a police report. If the involved party desires a police report at a later date, LAPD will be available to complete an investigative report." So clearly Chris Rock is not deciding to file any charges, thankfully for Will Smith, but if they don't reconcile, nothing is stopping Rock from pressing charges at a later date, so hopefully Will Smith apologizes.